Mental health and obesity. That was the title of my talk. I actually really love that title. It's clean, it's clinical, it's respectable. It's the kind of title that makes you sitting in the audience nod and say, how important. We should all make sure we listen to this one. I had created slides that had graphs, charts, data, statistics. I was hitting every note because I was going to show you just how important this connection is. I wanted to talk to you about how mental health impacts obesity and obesity impacts mental health. And any time we engage in treatment, we must address both. I had quotes from experts. I had percentages. I thought I would talk to you about how if you live with depression or anxiety, you're significantly more likely to develop weight gain and obesity over time. I thought I would talk to you about how if you live with obesity, you're significantly more likely to develop depression and anxiety over time. Thought I might talk about executive function, ADHD, and other neurodiversity concerns, and how they can contribute to disordered eating behavior and weight gain and obesity over time. I thought I would share with you how children who are exposed to trauma, physical, sexual, or emotional abuse or neglect are significantly more likely to live with obesity decades later in adulthood. I wanted to tell you all of that, but then I realized something. You already know all of that. Not once in my nearly 20 years of clinical experience has a patient walked into my office and said, I'm here to learn the statistics about mental health and how that affects my weight. Not once. So, I decided I would do something different. I decided instead that this talk has nothing to do with what you weigh. It has everything to do with what weighs us down. Let me be honest, it would have been easier for me to give this talk without this backpack, but that wouldn't be real. Because the truth is, we live in a world that reduces us to a number, that constantly tries to control, change, or critique our bodies. When we wake up every day already behind, we walk around carrying something. So, my talk is called What We Carry. And you may not know this, but every single person in this room is carrying something. Yours isn't as visible as mine. But it's the same stuff that we wear when we walk into doctor's offices, when we attend parties hoping that no one else will see it. We carry with us comments that we pretend didn't hurt. Some of you in this room have carried it for so long, you've forgotten it was never yours to carry. So, I am a psychologist. I like to unpack things. And today, we are going to unpack things together. Okay? Now, let me be honest. This might not go smoothly. But if it doesn't, guess what? That's real life. Okay, here we go. Excuse me as I take a moment here to to start my journey. I didn't even say anything yet. Maybe I should end now on a good note. Okay. For most of us, this is where we think our story starts. I kept my shoes on. I considered taking them off. Because anybody in this journey knows you never step on a scale with your shoes on. But then I thought I'd have to take off my belt and my earrings. Yeah, these were big ones too. For most of us, our story, we think, starts here. One number every morning telling us how to feel. Good day, bad day. Good me, bad me. One number. The first time that I felt shame associated with this number was in 3rd grade. I grew up in a rural town in Maine, and the way that they tracked body weight in my elementary school was they brought all of the students in grades 1 through 5 into the gymnasium, had a yellow lighting, and they put one of those old balance beam scales on the sideline of the basketball court, and then they lined us up down the gym. And one by one, we came up to the scale and we stepped on, and the nurse who was reading the number told the gym teacher, who was standing a few feet back, our weight out loud, and the gym teacher recorded it on a clipboard. So here's the thing. I happened to be standing behind my good friend, who is a tiny human. And I remember hearing her sound, or her number, and then I remember hearing mine. And actually, my gym teacher, Mr. Decker, that's his real name, he didn't say anything shaming, but I knew instantly that that was not okay. Because there was a big difference between what my number was and what the woman, girl in front of me, what her number was. Maybe you have a story like this too, from a pediatrician's office, from a scale in your home bathroom. For so long, I thought that this scale measured my health. I thought it measured my happiness. I thought it measured my worth. Turns out it doesn't. It measures gravity pulling on my body. But the truth is, this story gets even more complicated. I have these things very carefully organized in here, I hope. Okay. For most of us, this is an alarm clock. Tell me why I would have an alarm clock, because what happens at the start of every day? The alarm goes off, and it is an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity to do something differently. To track my food, to not snack after 7, to drink 8 to 10 glasses of water, to eat my protein goal, to eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, to stop doom scrolling and go to sleep by 10. Every day is a new opportunity to do better and to be better. Of course, when every day is a new opportunity, it creates pressure to do that. Pressure to do better, pressure to be better. And that pressure turns into a drive for perfection. This is the food scale from my house. Anybody in here ever measured food? Yes. Because when we measure things, we are aiming not for close enough. We're measuring to the ounce or the gram. There was a time when I could estimate the weight of a chicken breast within a gram or two. I know the number of calories in a single grape and in a single almond and in a serving of both of those. Perfection stays with us. It's what we carry with us, the quest for perfection. In fact, at the end of my workshop yesterday, a woman asked me, will we talk about perfectionism? Because it follows me. And I assured her that I would today. She had no idea what I meant. Here's the thing, we don't just measure food, right? We also measure inches, because we've been taught over time that our worth can be defined by the distance around our waists, and that the smaller, the better. This little piece of metal has measured so much more than inches. I've measured steps I've taken, ounces of water I have drank. I've measured how quickly I can do things, pant sizes, measuring. But of course, this isn't actually just about measurement, it's about judgment, right? Because there's a right answer and a wrong answer when you're measuring things to this extent. Judgment, permission to wear certain clothes, to show up at the pool, to take up space in a room. Judgment. And we don't just measure inches and ounces, we measure time. This stopwatch has measured 1,000 moments in my life, maybe yours too. Not just how long it's been between meals, not just did I walk that mile fast enough, moments that get me closer to where I need to be. It creates anxiety because the truth is, this stopwatch reminds us that there is a relentless rush to get to our goals, the pressure to get there quickly, as if healing and growth have a deadline. But I've carried anxiety about the passage of time. And of course, seconds become hours, and hours become days, and days become weeks, and weeks become months, and months become years. And how many of us have marked a date on a calendar? Some of us, this is the starting point. The day we will start to do better, be better. For others, it's the deadline by which we need to have done the thing. If it's the deadline, then that begins the backward math. Well, if I have to lose 10 pounds by the 30th, then I know how many pounds I need to lose this week and the week before and the week after, right? But then what happens is that that date comes and goes. And every time I didn't do the thing the date got pushed further out. And every time the date got pushed further out, I did more math. How many birthdays, beach vacations, class reunions, weddings have been on your calendar, setting you up with a deadline to be better? But this calendar, it's a graveyard of false starts. And what happens over time is that we miss the deadlines over and over and over again because they were never real, they were never realistic. But you know what? Every program, every goal has a grading system. And guess what grade we get when we miss our deadline? F, failure, right? So you miss a deadline set by you for an often unachievable goal, and then you don't get to the deadline, you don't achieve the goal, and you are a failure. We don't blame the unrealistic expectation. We don't blame the program. We blame ourselves. Every time we fail, we internalize being a failure. Not just on paper, in our souls. And here's the thing. I'm a good student. I don't like failure. And so what happens is I create the next plan, the next list, and I add it to my book of shoulds that I carry with me. This book is so big it didn't fit in my backpack. The list of shoulds is this long. Some of these were written by diets. Some of these were written by doctors. Some of these were written by self-proclaimed experts. Some of these were written by family, social media, and Hollywood. Rules about what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat. Rules about when to exercise, how much to exercise, and how hard to exercise. Rules about our sleep patterns, rules about our hydration, rules about when and where and how we should do better and be better. Our list of shoulds is long, and a lot of these are invisible. Some of the work I do with my patients is to help bring to visibility the invisible rules that we all carry. Let me tell you some of mine. If I eat a bagel for breakfast, then I have failed for the day. If I am going to exercise, then I must exercise for at least 30 minutes or it doesn't count. If, here's the crazy one, if I am going to exercise, I must change into a sports bra and sporty looking outfit. And if I forget my sports bra at home, too bad. Oh well, can't do that now. Okay, the list of shoulds accumulate over time into the book that we carry with us. And, of course, when we inevitably need to set the rule book down because it's just too heavy to carry, the self-doubt that it engendered, it sticks around. Lazy, no willpower, out of control. Just too much. These labels, they stick to us And we walk around sometimes covered in labels, most of which we never chose. Labels given to us by doctors, by well-meaning family members, by friends, by teachers, by strangers on the internet. And over time, the sticky notes, they become our self-talk. We don't need people to tell us these things anymore because we begin to tell ourselves these stories. Couldn't have a broken mirror, that would have been bad. And that's when the mirror becomes the enemy. Every time we look with that internalized self-talk, all we see is a before picture waiting to be an after. All we see is a project that's unfinished. We don't look to see ourselves. We look to critique and criticize. We look for our flaws and our failures. We look for proof that all those sticky notes were right. We look for our self-worth, but we don't find it. Because it's exhausting to live in a body that has told us we're bad. So we begin to self-loathe. And what happens when you walk around self-loathing long enough? You begin to self-protect. You put on a mask. We wear this around with us because the mental noise is just too much. So this is what we show the world instead. We protect ourselves from the comments, the stares, the subtle jokes and looks. We learn to make jokes before we become the punchline. We approach doctor's appointments armed and ready with our plan. We beat people to the punch. We smile when we're sad. We say, I'm fine when we're not. And eventually, this performance becomes automatic. For most of us, just because you can't see the struggle doesn't mean it's not there. And sometimes, when you wear a mask long enough, you start to disappear. I have here this empty picture frame because self-protection turns into invisibility, and invisibility turns into withdrawal. And if you're anything like me, there are entire chapters of your life when you can look back and find no evidence of your existence. Not because you weren't there, but because you didn't deserve to be seen, so you stood behind the camera instead of in front of it. We think that we have to wait until we're different or better to be in the photos before we earn the right to show up. But I'll tell you something. If there's ever a place that we wish for invisibility, it's this one. The seatbelt extender on the airplane. One of those times we wished for invisibility, right? It's a simple object, but it carries with it so much weight. Not only does it represent the physical discomfort of sitting in a seat that bruises your hips, in the airplane, in the theater, in the waiting room, but it also represents being too much, too big, in a world that is full of spaces not designed for you. And so, we become desperate. This is $1, but I have spent thousands of dollars on protein shakes, subscription services, books with the newest diet plan, magazines in the checkout line that tell me just how to do it, vegetables that I promised myself I would eat, but then I threw away later that week. Memberships to gyms, clothes that I had to replace when last year's clothes no longer fit, and then again next week or next year when the next thing doesn't fit. Thousands of dollars, not for pleasure, just to feel normal. And all of this is so crazy. This is my actual fanny pack that I wear around when I'm doing errands. Because during all of this, we're still expected to do our lives, right? To take care of our kids or our pets or our parents. Love you, Mom. To pay our bills, to keep the lights on, to study, to work. And that leads to burnout. It's too much. It's too much to carry all of this with us, but we have to do it. And anyone in this room who knows me knows that I don't believe in the wagon. But also anybody in here knows that this represents so much of diet culture. This wagon. On the program, off the program. On the wagon, off the wagon. And every time we fall off the wagon, what do? We spend time chasing it, trying to get back on, right? Because the wagon represents being better, on and off, on and off. Guilt every time we are chasing the wagon and unable to get back on, never asking, was that wagon built for me? Never asking. And so, eventually, we do stop asking that. And instead, we buckle down. We decide, okay, I know, I'll just lock in. I'll control my cravings. I'll control my thoughts. I'll control my portions. I'll lock it down and I'll get serious, right? We blame ourselves, and some of us followed these rules so closely that we stopped living. And others of us broke these rules so many times, we felt like criminals. And either way, we ended up handcuffed. And I've already told you I'm a good student. Sometimes I'm the best student, because sometimes the handcuffs, they're not enough. We just need more willpower. Lock it down, get better, work harder. Willpower. We lock down every bite. We refuse to eat something that we cannot log. We celebrate emptiness. We call that willpower. For a long time, I told myself, this is all it takes. Just wear this around. If I just want it more, if I just do it better, I'll get there. And every time I struggled, I thought it meant I was weak. Maybe we can rethink it. But here's the thing. Every time we fail, oh, this is one of those moments when life doesn't go perfectly, guys. Okay, hold please. Every time we fail, we jump back on the hamster wheel. And we go again and again and again, right? We do everything right and somehow still end up where we started. Creates a special kind of hopelessness. Not for lack of effort, but for lack of forward movement. Hopelessness resulting from failures for programs that were never made for us. Clinically, we know that this pattern erodes motivation, self-trust, and hope. People stop believing change is possible. Hopelessness isn't a failure, it's a symptom of systems that blame individuals, that focus on willpower instead of science. I don't know if you noticed, but I put a noise machine up here when I first started, and it's been playing this whole time. But here's the thing, we forget that we're listening to the noise inside of our brains all the time while we're going about our daily lives. Some of us, it's food noise. When will I eat again? Did I have enough to eat? What's coming next? Others, it's, how does my body look in this moment? Do you think this shirt is showing my stomach? Does my arm look bad at this angle? Right? The constant noise is in our heads, the background noise to everything we do. It's playing all the time. Sometimes it's louder than others. And we have confusion, you guys. Why do we have confusion? Because everybody's got an opinion. And those opinions are louder than our own voices. Eat less, cut carbs, intermittent fast, don't eat after 8. Try intuitive eating, exercise more, but not too much, that's weird. Take your medication, but only if you're motivated. Have you tried? You should really, what worked for me, the messages are so loud. They drown out our own internal self-talk. We're bombarded with contradicting information, causing confusion. Of course we're confused about something this complex. And so we fight. We fight. Some of us fight for our health. That's why you're in this room. But others fight inside of our own minds. It is one thing to fight for better. It is another thing to fight your own body. Willpower versus cravings, discipline versus desire. So many battles we are faced with every day inside of our heads. And every day feels like a match that we have to win. We get angry at the scale, at ourselves, at the world. Most of us thought that we started at the start on this scale, but my mom will recognize this. This is my teddy bear, my first teddy bear ever. This represents grief. Because all of us who have lived with the struggle for as long as some of us in this room have, we have grief. We have grief that started before the diets and before the weigh-ins and before the shame. Some of us were teased. Others were touched. Some of us were ignored. Others were singled out. Every single one of those experiences stays with us throughout our whole lives. And somehow, despite all of those perpetrators and experiences, we think that the weight is to blame. My backpack is almost empty, but I've done clinical work in this field for too long to not leave you with the bricks of unfixable, unlovable, and unworthy. Because those two are the weights that we carry with us every day. But guess what, guys? Those are the ones I'm done. I'm setting down today. All right. I've carried them long enough. So have you. We all carry something. We all have something we need to put down. This backpack It's much lighter now. But notice, it's not because I've changed my body. It's because I stopped carrying what was never mine to carry in the first place. The shame, not mine. The anger, not mine. The sadness, the guilt, the perfectionism, not mine and not yours anymore. You are a human being and you are worthy. And so, I leave you with this. When we build our identity around sticky notes and chains and measuring tapes, we lose sight of the fact that there is so much love waiting for us. We just have to be open to it. We have to seek it. We deserve it. Being in this room, in this moment, is proof to me that you are seeking and ready for love. So I leave you by asking, what will you put down? What weight, what story, what burden will you stop carrying today? Maybe it's the shame that whispers in your ear in the morning. Maybe it's the silent place you've held your pain. Maybe it's the grief for all the time and energy you have lost. Whatever it is, take a moment and put it down. Because freedom isn't in more control, it's in choosing what we leave behind. Thank you. Thank you. Do we want to do questions? Sure. I know I went a little over my time. But does anybody have any questions? Deb?
Hi, Robyn. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I don't really have a question. I just wanted to say that your talk spoke to me in ways I didn't know that it would. And it touched things in me that I didn't know that I had anymore. And I just wanted to thank you. Thank you for permission to put it down. And not only for myself, but for others in this room who probably are feeling the same feelings that I'm feeling and are too shy or too overwhelmed to come forward and say thank you for themselves. So for us, I say thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Robyn with a Y, I just wanted to tell you that was brilliant. And I think that the visual and just how you laid all of that out resonated so much over my lifelong journey with obesity. And I think it was touching in a couple of ways. Is I'm realizing how much over the years and time and therapy and all the things that have helped me to shift a lot of that thinking. So it was very validating, but it also was very touching that you've just empowered anybody who was listening the ability to let it go and put it down and really recognize what's been embedded because of toxic diet culture and how we carry that in so many ways. Sometimes it's overt, but many times it's covert. So absolutely brilliant, my friend, and thank you for doing that.
I just want to say that you ate and left no crumbs.
Thank you all so much.